Hi guys, welcome back to episode 2 of Q2FY26 result series. And as usual, just like how we did in the Q1FY26 series, we will be segregating the companies into good, decent, poison, and shit. The only difference would be compared to the last series to this series is all the good companies I'll cover in one video and probably the decent in and poison in another video. जो shit companies उसको मैं सिर्फ last में नाम छोड़ के बता दूंगी because it's pointless to be even talking about those names. Okay. So वो है. And दूसरा चीज़ है, I know a lot of you guys have been asking for the Q2 FY26 portfolio analysis workshop, but unfortunately I don't think we will be doing it this quarter because see, I know we did Q4 FY25, we did Q1 FY26. It was not something that we planned, like it just happened. But you might have also observed, right, after the Q1 FY26, I've just been like, I've been ghosting y'all. I mean, I've been literally off the grid, and I think most of you know I've had like a serious burnout after that Q1 FY26. The problem happens is, like there are around 1000, 1500 registrations, and obviously, right, when so many people are coming and are trusting you, they're paying up. That's a huge responsibility. You want to give everything that you have, right? That is one. And the other thing is, right, like result season khatam hote within a week we have to do that workshop, right? So imagine covering like 1000 to 1500 companies in that in that entire 1 month, like 2 to 3 weeks of that result season, right? Like it's too tough. I mean, you have to read every single thing from the con call to the PPT, and that gives like a massive burnt out, right? And you might have, I mean, I've been very open and frank about it also, right? Like after that Q1 FY26, my entire health has been a whack, right? Like you can literally see on my face, it's just reflected because I've never had acne and I've had all of that stuff. So that is the thing. I don't think Q3, let's see if we can do it, but Q2 FY26, if I again put myself through that stress, I don't think there is going to be a comeback from that. So that is the reason. Yeah, but also I think now a lot of you all know how to analyze the companies, how to do everything. So and anyways, I'm here on YouTube. You can also reach out to me on X, right? Like any help, I'm willing to do that. So that's it. But anyways, too much digress. But let's just start with the company. The first company that we will do is GG Automotives. Now ये GG Automotives क्या करता है? GG Automotives जो है, it is a company started in the central part of India. It was started in the year 1974. ये लोग gears बनाते हैं. What kind of gears? This tractional gears and pinions जो होता है. ये tractional gear क्या करते हैं? आपको जो power है, right? गाड़ी का power that is there. Like for example, you might see, like when you start the आप एक start button को press जो करते हो, after that the engine starts to run, right? Transmitting the entire power into motion, right? That is the entire work of this tractional gear. That is the only thing, okay? And ये कौन सा ट्रैक्शनल गियर बनाते हैं? दीज पीपल डू मोस्टली फॉर रेलवेज, मेट्रोज, आपका डिफेंस का कोई व्हीकल्स हो या वरना आपका इंडस्ट्रीज में ये बड़ा बड़ा मशीन्स जो होता है, राइट? दीज पीपल डू फॉर दैट, नॉट नेसेसरीली फॉर योर टू व्हीलर्स और पैसेंजर व्हीकल्स, बट मोस्टली मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द रेवेन्यू कम्स फ्रॉम दिस रेलवेज, मेट्रोज एंड डिफेंस. ठीक है, ये आप बोल सकते हो B2G बिजनेस ही है. एंड अदर देन दैट ये लोग एक्सपोर्ट भी करते हैं, बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली सिंस दिस कंपनी डजंट डू एनी कॉन कॉल या PPT, आई डू नॉट नो व्हाट इज द सेग्रीगेशन बिटवीन डोमेस्टिक एंड एक्सपोर्ट. मतलब कितना रेवेन्यू आ रहा है डोमेस्टिक से, कितना आ रहा है एक्सपोर्ट से, दैट इज समथिंग आई डोंट हैव आइडिया. ऑल आई नो इज ये 20 कंट्रीज के लिए, अप्रोक्सीमेटली 20 कंट्रीज के लिए ये लोग एक्सपोर्ट करता है. ठीक है, अदर देन दैट इनका अगर आप देखते हो, उनका 4 प्लांट है, एंड इन दिस 4 प्लांट्स टोटली दे आर हैविंग अ कंबाइंड कैपेसिटी ऑफ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, आई बिलीव अराउंड 6000 metric tons per annum का gears and pinions. In a year, at least in the last year FY25, they manufactured around 10,000 gears, and ये pinions जो होता है उसका 20,000 उन्होंने मैन्युफैक्चर किया on an annual basis. Okay, now इसका अगर आप देखते हो, सेल्स जो है, सेल्स इज अप बाय अ फैबुलस 27%. पैट लिटरली डबल हो चुका है, पैट इज अप बाय 91%. ओके, दिस इज ऑन अ Q2 बेसिस. बट हियर इज अ कैच. लास्ट सितंबर में अगर आप देखते हो ना, लास्ट सितंबर में इनका जो सेल्स था, दैट इज Q1 ऑफ लास्ट ईयर, Q1 ऑफ FY25 कंपेयर टू Q1 ऑफ FY24, अगर आप देखते हो, सेल्स इज अप ओनली बाय 7%. सो आई डू नॉट नो ये जो 27% का ये जो सेल्स दिखा रहे हैं, इज इट बिकॉज ऑफ द लो बेस इफेक्ट ऑफ लास्ट क्वार्टर, लास्ट Q2 का लो बेस इफेक्ट से ये कुछ शायद इसके वजह से 27 हो रहा है. आई डू नॉट नो, बिकॉज लास्ट Q1 में क्या था, इलेक्शंस था. एज अ रिजल्ट मेनी ऑफ द ऑर्डर्स गॉट डिलेड which got carried on to Q2 also. Q3 and Q4 में Q1 का Q2 orders got pushed into Q3 and Q4. And like I told you, business model में ये किसके लिए ज्यादा बनाते हैं? रेलवेज एंड मेट्रोज. एंड रेलवेज एंड मेट्रोज किसका है? गवर्नमेंट का है, राइट? गवर्नमेंट से ही मिलता है. सो यहाँ पे इसका थोड़ा डायरेक्ट कनेक्शन हो सकता है. another thing that validates this theory is because अगर आप half yearly में देखते हो, that is 6 months का अगर आप sales देखते हो, then the sales only grew by 20%, right? So that also gives you to show कि like maybe there is a huge base effect का play that is playing out, okay? But operating leverage बहुत तगड़ा मिला है, both in terms of half yearly as well as अगर आप देखते हो Q2 on Q2, okay? Other than that, if you see, one of the another reason also is, like I told you, इनका 4 manufacturing plants है. The fourth manufacturing plant that is there, that got operationalized in 2024 में, okay? And that is I think of 25,000 square feet का है. So just last year ये operationalized हुआ. I do not know when in last year it got operationalized also. ये भी मेरे पास वो information नहीं है. So, and right, whenever you put up a new plant, especially when we are talking about an automotive company and all of these companies, what happens is, it's not like these people reach 100% capacity utilization in like a day 1 month only. It is a gradual process, right? So maybe because of this capacity addition, ये शायद ये 27 भी कर सकता है. That is another thing. So numbers अच्छा है, but there is a lot of like buts and ifs, and there is a lot of loopholes where you do not have answers for. Another thing I don't have answer for is, since these people are working with railways and metros, यहाँ पे order book is very important. What is your order book as of Q1, as of Q2FY26? Do not know, right? How much of that order book of this year is executed? How much do you plan to execute it in the next 6 months? Again, there is no clue. Other than that, if you see, one thing I'm really surprised is the cash flows. Cash flows is really good. Cash flows went from 5 to 15 crore. Receivables, although being in a B2B business, B2G business, आप railways में काम करो and everything, in spite of that, receivables is also quite in control. So आप इसका देख सकते हो, have a look at it, and if anybody also has any other information, let me know. I would classify GG Automotives as a decent company, only because I mean, see, whenever I think you have to classify something as a good or a blockbuster, you need to have clarity around that business model, right? You need to know what you can expect out of it. Versus over here, this quarter is good, it is fantastic, but you do not have clarity if this pace of growth will continue or not. मतलब कल कुछ भी हो सकता है, मोह माया सब कुछ यहाँ पे. That is another thing. The second company that we will be doing is Lotus Chocolates. Again, इसका business model, you guys can go refer it in the business analysis playlist में, or you can just type in YouTube Lotus Chocolate प्रेरणा माना and you will find it over there, okay? Lotus Chocolate का अगर आप देखते हो, sales is up by 25%, and PAT जो है, PAT has seen a huge degrowth. Last Q2 में PAT was 5 crore, इस Q2 में PAT is 1 crore. Now a lot of people might just only look at the top line and they might be like, अरे 25% is decent. But you cannot look, whenever you're looking at the top line growth, do not look at it like at an isolated point. Isolated मतलब सिर्फ Q2 का देख रहे हो आप, and Q2 on Q2. You have to see कि like किस कहाँ से ये बढ़ चुका है या कहाँ से गिर चुका है. लाइक फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर आप एपिसोड 1 में, इफ यू सी, वी स्पोक अबाउट थायरोकेयर का अगर आप देखते हो, दे हैव टोल्ड फॉर अ मिड टीन्स ग्रोथ, और वो जो कंपनी जो 15-18% से ग्रो कर रहा था, वो अभी वहां से इट इज गोइंग अप बाय 22, वो 15 से 22 बना. सो दैट इज अ गुड इंजन, पेस ऑफ ग्रोथ इज गोइंग अप. वर्सेस फॉर लोटस चॉकलेट क्या हुआ, दिस वाज अ कंपनी दैट यूज्ड टू ग्रो एट 100%, 70%, वहां से वो कहाँ आया 25%. So when you look at only 25% Q2 on a Q2 basis, you might feel like, wow, stellar company. But if you go back and look, it has come down. The pace of growth has come down. And this is also similar to GG Automotives, right? We do not know what is up, because we know the last information that we had was, that Reliance has acquired them, but they didn't have to do any capex because, they have a lot of capacity left, so there was no requirement to do capex. But after the Reliance acquisition, what has happened, we do not know. And these people also work with a lot of B2B, उनका corporate clients होता है. Like for example, when we have this Diwali and everything, right, corporates give all this gifts, chocolate ka gift and everything. So that is also a huge part. Who knows, maybe that also didn't get reflected this year, we do not know, or probably the base is normalized right now. So Lotus Chocolate is a big no. I mean, I would say, why am I telling a big no is because I think when you look at the market today, there are much better companies where you can dabble your money on, right? I mean, see, first of all, you're coming here and putting so much risk. At least put risk on something where there is a little bit of clarity, where there is what to expect over here, rather than यहाँ पे you put your money and you do not know. मतलब at least when you put money and there is volatility, आपका stock is 10% या 5% down, you need to have that conviction to hold on to it. Imagine you put your money on Lotus Chocolate. I do not think when the stock goes 20% down, anybody will have that conviction with Lotus Chocolate, because clarity नहीं है. और let's say for example, some businesses like Blackbuck या Gina, अगर वो कल 10% because of volatility नीचे गिरता है, you will not panic and sell. Because I'm telling Gina and Blackbuck because I think you all know that that's a part of my portfolio. Anybody who's done Q1FY26 or even you guys know that, right? So that is the thing. But with Lotus, I don't think you can I mean, unless and until you know somebody in that company personally, I think it would be very tough to get that kind of, that kind of conviction with this business. The last one we'll talk about is Just Dial. Now obviously Just Dial ka agar aap dekhte ho, this I would classify it as poison company, because at once upon a time Just Dial was great, but now if you see, the business is completely deteriorating, right? Uska agar aap top line dekhte ho, top line is up by 6% only. Okay, desh is only growing, I mean country is only growing at 8%, and आप grow कर रहे हो अपना company का sale 6%. Now here, why I, again, one of the reasons if you look at it is the entire landscape has changed. Business ka landscape has changed, because when we were young, right, I think 10 years ago and everything, when we wanted to get a review of a certain business, we wanted to search something that is in our local areas, we would go and search it in Just Dial. But now if you see, right, like the search engines has become so effective. Like who uses Just Dial? आप Google में कुछ मारो, like top 5 places to eat sushi around me, you will get it. आपको सब मिल जाएगा, फोटो से लेके रिव्यू से लेके, right? Other than that also, you have this AI and all of these come, like Perplexity, Chat GPT and everything. So when you have so much options, आपका listings बढ़ रहा है and everything in those areas, obviously ना, I mean पूरा का पूरे business का landscape ही change हो गया. It is not necessarily कि like Just Dial का business में कोई problem है. It's just that the demand or the condition that they operate in, that is not really that great. Okay, so इसके वजह से क्या हो चुका है, right? The company is going, obviously, like I always tell, the shark that is there, right? Like matlab, if you put a shark in an ocean, it will grow up to the size of the ocean, but agar aap usko aquarium mein dalte ho, it will only grow up to the size of an aquarium. It is not necessarily shark ka problem, but the environment ka problem. So similarly with Just Dial also, the management is great, everything is great, but having said that, the environment that in which the business operates in, it's no longer viable, right? So that is the thing. You tell me, right? I mean, you as a consumer only tell me, how many of you now go to Just Dial and search for a review? How many of you go to Just Dial and purchase something? How many of you as a business owner go and and list your businesses on Just Dial? How many? Hardly any. And that is also reflected in the other metrics that is there. Like for example, uska total unique visitors jo hai, that is the number of people who come and visit your app or your website, that is there. More number of people visit, the better it is, right? Because आपका advertising revenue भी बढ़ सकता है, more traffic that you have, more people will also end up. So the number of people who are just coming and visiting your website is only down by 0.2%. मतलब it's flat, right? So if people are not visiting, क्या sale कर पाएगा आप? That is also not possible. And the other thing is आपका जो ratings and reviews है, that is also up by only 3%. So all the metrics that you see, whether it is your volume growth, आपका value growth, whatever it is, everything is either flat or down. So it is completely poison, right? Why am I telling poison is because it was good once upon a time. Now the business is deteriorating. So good से वो poison बन चुका है, right? It's not that the business has, I would only consider a company as shit when, probably when it has been terrible and continues to be terrible, there is no scope for the business. But this is one such business that has gone from good to poison and probably will go to shit in a couple of years, right? Because none of the services or the platforms that they have are no longer beneficial to people, or probably people have a better alternative. That is a good way to put up, I guess. So that is that with ye तीनों company, Just Dial, GG Automotives and Lotus Chocolate. And जैसे मैंने वो थायरोकेयर का वीडियो में बताया, right? I've covered थायरोकेयर and I've given I think 4-5 names है जो अच्छा किया है in the Q2 of FY26 का result. And please have a look at those companies. उस companies का business models के बारे में पढ़ो, because what I'm trying to do in this result season is not just cover companies जो भी आ रहा है, but even if it is certain companies जिसका result अच्छा है, I'm also going to like at least give out those names, because just because I don't like that company, that doesn't mean that that somebody else might not have an interest. Like for example, Yash SME, which is an SME company, Yash Voltage बोल के है, Yash High Voltage, I think that's a name. Great set of numbers, but when I open the PPT I get a headache, because मेरे को तो कुछ समझ में नहीं आता. It feels like above, something is going ऊपर, मेरे सर के ऊपर से जा रहा है. I feel like that when I read the PPT. I don't understand it. But a lot of you might not feel that way. You might have that love at first sight while reading that Yash SME Voltage. So that's what I'm going to try and do, like after the end of any videos where I'm talking about the best companies, I will also cover the companies that has done really well, good or great set of numbers, irrespective of whether I read that company or not. Okay, so that's that with the second episode of Q2FY26 ka result season. I will catch up with you guys probably in another video, either by tonight or tomorrow. Okay, so that's it, guys. Have a great day and continue to track the companies. Whatever you have it in your portfolio, please don't blindly invest. It is your hard-earned money. Please take it seriously, and just at least read about that investor PPT. Thoda sa pad lo. It's not rocket science, coming from someone who's done rocket science. So make sure you do it. Okay, that's it, guys. Hope you all have a great day and a very fabulous Q2FY26. Bye.